In part 1 of this series, we defined phrasing as the use of dynamics and articulation to deliver a rhythm. We also established that a rhythm played metrically correctly will not be effective if its phrasing is not considered, and that phrasing at the piano is often misunderstood or disregarded, which can lead to rhythmic clunkiness and technical problems. Now, in part 2, we'll explore how introducing the pedal informs our phrasing, as well as melodic phrasing in a ballad. To start, here's Bill Evans' classic My Foolish Heart from Live at the Village Vanguard. The first thing that we can address is the use of the sustain pedal. And for that, we'll need to take a look inside the piano. When the sustain pedal is pressed, a note resonates with the entire piano, instead of just itself. Let's listen to a note sustained without the pedal, compared to with the pedal. There's a tremendous difference. The use of the pedal activates a huge and complex sound, whereas the single note sustained without the pedal, no matter how hard we try, is relatively dry. There are also infinite shades of pedal that we can use. Hear what happens when you gradually lift the pedal from its fully pressed position. There is a halfway point where the dampers are not fully lifted from the strings, creating a tone that resonates more than with no pedal, but much less than full pedal. And there are infinite levels here, each one creating different degrees of resonance and overtones. With this, we can see that much of our tone at the piano can actually come from our feet. In part 1 of this series, we discussed instances where we would blend notes together with our fingers to play legato. But introducing the pedal excuses us from that responsibility, allowing basically every note to be played staccato, and letting the pedal and the piano's natural resonance handle the rest. Let's go back to Bill Evans' My Foolish Heart and see an example of this. We are hearing sustained tones from the piano, but this can be misleading. The sustain and fullness of the sound does not come from playing the notes longer or harder or with a better touch. Actually, it's completely the opposite. The fullness of sound comes from letting notes go and allowing the piano to resonate on its own. Behind this, could really be more like this. This is more like what a pianist might actually be playing with their fingers. But the active use of the pedal is what creates the full tone. It has nothing to do with pressing any harder or with a better touch. It actually has more to do with our feet. But of course, it's not only our feet that create this feeling. Let's discuss the rhythm. Here's the basic melody of My Foolish Heart. And now let's listen to a few examples of singers interpreting this melody. Here's Nat King Cole.
The night is like a lovely tune. Beware my foolish heart.
And here's Carmen McRae.
The night is like a lovely tune. Beware my foolish heart.
First of all, we can hear very clearly that the metric rhythm is not interpreted literally. When notating a melody on a piece of paper, it will always look somewhat rigid, but it is also always implied that the rhythms will be interpreted loosely for expressive effect. We can consider just this sentence. There are infinite ways that this sentence can be read, each one having a different nuance. The night is like a lovely tune. The night is like a lovely tune. Or, for a very rigid metric example that you would rarely hear in normal speech, the night is like a lovely tune. A melody is the same way. This rhythmic quality is something that can't be precisely defined and can be correct in an infinite number of ways. Deeply listening to masters like Nat King Cole and Carmen McRae is the best way to experience it. Then, if we want to play this melody on the piano, eventually, even if we don't consider ourselves singers, we need to sing this melody out loud. The night is like a lovely tune. Now let's sing the melody and play it at the piano at the same time, matching the exact timing with our singing. The night is like a lovely tune. And adding a little pedal to that for resonance. So just to hear the difference back to back, here's a straight interpretation of the melody as written. But add a little pedal and some expressive vocal timing. Often against this freely interpreted melody, the left hand will play a more strict time, often just quarter note chords. This texture creates a rub between the melody and accompaniment layer that emulates the expressive feel of a whole band, and is similar to what Bill Evans was using on his Vanguard recording. Written notation forces a melody to look basically rigid on paper. It is impossible to indicate all of these elements of pedaling and timing on a piece of paper anyways. And how we incorporate these elements will differ every time we play, as they depend on what room we're in, what piano we're playing, what mood we're in, etc. It becomes a deeply personal process, all with the end goal of bringing the piano to life and expressing the innermost emotions that connect us all. Thanks for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this video, check out the other videos available on my channel, and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with new videos as they come out. Have a great day, and happy practicing!